Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. We're off to the races on this fantastic Friday as we discuss athletics now. Reigning world indoor 60-meter hurdles champion Davine Charlton laid to rest doubts and worries about her early season form, as once again the Bahamian was able to prove her championship pedigree after successfully defending her world title at the 2025 World Indoor Championships in Nanjing, China last weekend. The current world indoor record holder, which she set during her historic run at last year's meet, secured victory in a season's best 7.72 seconds, despite Charlton's battle to return from a chipped bone injury, which she suffered after last year's Olympic Games in Paris, and a muscle strain coming into this year's indoor season, while also having just the 8th fastest time in the world heading into the global event. She pulled together her best stretch of races for the season to become the back-to-back world indoor champion. We are pleased to be joined by Davine right here live on the SportsMax Zone via Zoom to have a chat about her massive achievement. Well, Davine, congratulations from the SportsMax Zone on your success. But February, March, your form didn't look as if it was setting you up for a repeat win, but somehow you got the job done. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, so thank you for the congrats. But yeah, so coming into the season, when I started training, of course, I was coming back from a broken foot injury I sustained at the end of last year, and then had a couple more mishaps, and then strained my hamstring a month out from the World Indoor Championships. And so it was tough getting through all of that, just knowing that I wasn't in the form I would have preferred to be in. But I have a great team of people around me who made sure that I had the best things available to get the rehab and recovery that I needed. And when it was time to go, I asked them if I was ready, and everybody was just like, yeah, we go for it. And I, to be honest, couldn't imagine that this would have been the result to run, I think, tied for my 4th fastest time ever, just behind all the times that I ran last season, which was historic for me. But yeah, couldn't envision it, but, I just trusted those around me and had to put my mind to it, dig deep for it. But, in the end, coming out with the win was really spectacular feeling for me.
Yeah, so based on what you're saying, I think we can conclude that your confidence level wasn't as high maybe as it had been the year before.
No, because, coming off of last year, I don't think I could have been in a better state mentally, setting the world record going into the World Indoor Championships in the form that I was in. I felt that it was my race to lose, and it was so different coming in this time where I was projected to just get into the final by a hair, and ended up coming away with the win, just getting better and better each round, setting a season's best in the semifinal. And, that kind of gave me the confidence that I was building up to say I can go ahead and take the whole thing.
Yeah. Davine, we've long felt, or we don't have to feel it because it's obvious that the women's sprint hurdling is one of the most competitive in global track and field at the moment. But 0.04 of a second, Davine separated first from 6th. That was amazing. You may not have felt it that much while you were competing, but I'm sure you've looked back at the race to see just how close it was. It was fantastic, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I felt how close it was. I didn't know that I was leading most of the race, but coming down to the line, it was close, and which is why I looked up at the board for confirmation. And then once I saw my name, I was ecstatic. But I knew I was in the medals. I felt myself up front, but whether or not I won it, I didn't know. And I didn't know that 6th place was that close. So yeah, I love where the women's hurdles is at right now. It's nerve-wracking to be a competitor in all of it, but I don't think I'd have it any other way.
Yeah, and Davine, how much was this victory, based on your mindset as it was when it came down to your execution? Yeah,
I think because I wasn't where I wanted to be physically, I had to lean into the mental side of it a whole lot more. I was hurt, and so I couldn't always get the reps in on the track, and so I just had to sit in the corner by myself and get the reps in mentally. Just go through the motion, go through the paces, know how I wanted to feel once I was executing the race. And I really think that that's what got me across that line first in Nanjing was just that I saw myself doing it so many times that once I got into the blocks, I could just put myself on autopilot and let the whole thing unreal.
You know, I like to ask different athletes this question because what is perfect for me may not be perfect for you. What's a perfect race like for you, Daveen? Like, what would that look like?
Yeah, so I think just hitting all the things that we focus on in practice, I think I have a pretty good start. And so it starts there where in the blocks, I'm thinking about my first movement, just reacting to the gun. And moving through the hurdles, sometimes I have a tendency to back off until I feel someone next to me, and then I try and go again. So the perfect race for me is getting that start, moving through the hurdle, make sure I'm leading with the hips, being as efficient as possible over the hurdles, and then just holding my form off the last hurdle, which, because of the nature of the women's events, it tends to be really tight at the line. And so you kind of have to fight everything in you that's telling you, like, oh, lean now for the line, but you just have to hold your form, stand up tall, and sprint, and then just lean at the right moment. And I think once all of those things are executed, I'd say that's a perfect race for me.
Yeah, and in order to have, you know, all these things come together, you must have a good support system, you know, starting with your coaches and, of course, everyone who is around you. Can you speak to that support system and what does it mean to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So it starts off with my parents who got me started in the sport and gave me all the tools that I needed moving forward. And then once I got into the professional realm, of course, like I have my coaches, my event coach, my weight coach. I enlisted the services of a sports psych. I have a nutritionist. And so I'm just making sure that I'm taking care of all of the things on the track as well as off the track that can contribute to high performances like this. But not only are they fantastic at their jobs and the services that they provide to me, they're also good people and they're invested in my well-being off the track as well. And so really have to thank them for that. That it's not just a transaction thing. It's they're highly invested in my career and my well-being. And so I appreciate them for that.
And how is it being in a family where your sister now, Anthea Charlton, she's been doing really good as well. I mean, she got a PB in the long jump, you know, she's doing well. So does she come to you for advice? Do you talk to her about it? What's that relationship like?
Yeah, so she does come to me for advice. She doesn't always take it, but she does look for my opinion sometimes. And we're as opposite as two people can be.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so it's really interesting that whereas I feel like I was kind of a late bloomer in the sport and I just started to kind of find my footing. She's had the natural talent since she was young. And I mean, year for year, pound for pound, she's way better of an athlete than I am. And so I try and guide her. I'm just like, okay, we should go. We were actually roommates in Nanjing. So I'm just like, okay, we need to go to bed at this time. We need to be eating this way. We should hydrate. We should go to the gym and lift. And she's kind of just like, no, I'm going to stay in bed. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And it's almost frustrating because it's like you can just go to competitions and like pull out a great performance, whereas I have to do all these things and kind of be neurotic about my routine. Whereas she's just kind of like, yeah, no, I think I do best when I just relax and don't think about anything. I'm like, okay, if it works for you, I won't trouble you.
Yeah, for sure. She's been doing good and you must be really, really proud. What are some of your plans, Daveen, for the rest of the World Indoor season? You know, when are we going to see you again in competition? Which ones will you be taking part in?
Yeah, so right now I'm confirmed in the 2 Diamond Leagues in China, one at the end of April and the other the first weekend in May. So looking forward to those. I had a pretty good showing there last year, which is where I opened up. Looking to do it again and just build off of this win in the last race of the indoor season.
Yeah, Daveen, you just achieved something that 2 others have done in the past. Lola Jones and Nia Ali both were back-to-back winners of the World Indoor 60-meter hurdles. But the event had been every 2 years then. Now it is every year. So you have an opportunity next year to be the first athlete in history to win this event 3 times in a row. How does that make you feel, or how much of a challenge will that be?
Yeah, I think it's a huge challenge. With the women's hurdles being as volatile as it is, coming away with 2 back-to-back wins is crazy, even if it wasn't consecutive. And so to get 3 consecutively, it would be a huge deal. I think it's just another notch in my belt on the way to making sure that when people think of the women's 60-meter hurdles, I want them to think of Deb and Charlton as the greatest ever, which I feel like I'm there. I do want to get a third win just to, further separate myself. But so that's going to be the goal. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to go after it, but as of right now, it is something that I'm interested in doing.
Yeah, and how much are you positioning yourself for the World Outdoors in September? Because it's going to be a pretty long season. Here you are, winning a global title already in March, but September is really where most of the world's top athletes are targeting. And your outdoor log isn't as impressive as your indoor log. So how much of a challenge will it be for you, Daveen, to ensure that when September comes, you'll be in good shape and be ready to top the outdoor field as you have with the indoor rivals?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a group effort when it comes to just planning out my meets between now and the outdoor championships, getting with my coach, making sure that the way we're training, the meets that we decide to go to, that everything's conducive to having the best performance when it matters outdoor. And I think I really want to push against the narrative that I'm a 60-meter hurdle specialist. I know that my skill set is definitely geared more towards indoor, but I want to prove that I'm also an excellent 100-meter hurdler as well. And so I think getting a title there would really solidify that. And so that's going to be the focus going into that.
Yeah, that's obvious. We know that you're an outstanding sprint hurdler, period, whether indoors or outdoors. But what would be the adjustments that you and your coaching staff would make, Daveen, to ensure that you can win gold outdoors in the 100 hurdles? Because typically I see you run, and after 50, 60 meters, you are more often than not in front. So what are the adjustments that you would have to make to ensure that you are still in front after 100 meters?
Yeah, so I think we just have to go more to like over distance type of work, making sure that we're putting 12, 13, sometimes 14 hurdles on the track, making sure that I can hold my form over all of those hurdles. And I think that's what's going to make the difference when it comes to outdoor, because like you said, like by 50, 60 meters, I'm there, and then it fades a little bit between there and the line. And so I think once we go back to practice, we work on those things, really identify what's causing the issue and address it. I don't see why I can't be on top of the podium there as well.
Yeah. Any thoughts on how strong the Caribbean has been in this event, Daveen? Because the region has really excelled in sprint hurdling, not only on the women's side, but on the men's side as well. And Akira Nugent is now a rival of yours. She was just 200ths of a second behind you in that final, ran an absolutely fabulous race, and she looks to have a lot of talent as well. So any comment on the strength that the Caribbean has put on the global scene in sprint hurdling?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely something that's been, because when I think of Jamaica, I think in the women's hurdle specifically, they're second only to the USA, which is a sprinting powerhouse, but Jamaica is also right there, as well as I think between myself and we have a few other Bahamian hurdlers that are making a name, of course. We have Jasmine Camacho Quinn from Puerto Rico, just really doing it for the Caribbean countries. I don't want to get into like naming people because I'm definitely going to forget somebody, but just those who are, in the fight right now. And just seeing Akira do what she did, knowing that the struggles that she had at the end of last year as well, but bouncing back to have a world lead and then medaling indoors, it was really something to behold. I was super happy, super proud of her because, it's injuries and like troubles like that. It's something that you never wish on anybody, even like your toughest competitor. And so she was one of those that came to me in my moments when I wasn't doing so great. And so to just be on the podium with her and see how much it meant to her was one of the highlights of that meet for me as well.
Yeah, and about your homecoming and how valued your Bahamian public would have made you feel over the past week. Any comments on that? Yeah,
the thing about Bahamians, which is kind of opposite to my personality, is we really love fanfare, we love festivals and music and dancing, and I'm more of an introverted person, so I don't like to do that. And so sometimes they'll come and like present, this is all the things we want to do, and I kind of have to like strip some things back, but they're always willing to celebrate me, and it's really great to see. But I'm more like, I'm just like, let's just show up, let's have some good music, some good food, and like just fellowship with each other. Like, I don't need big parades or anything like that. They'll be happy to do it, but just kind of I don't need all of that. I just want to get back with the Bahamians and enjoy their company and, just encourage people coming up. And so I'm going to make a couple visits to my old school, just meet with the kids there, encourage them, and just make sure that I'm finding ways to contribute and give back to make sure that, this is an ongoing thing. I don't want to be the first row record holder from the Bahamas. I'm the first, but I don't want to be the last. I want to make sure that I open the door for those coming behind me.
Yeah, and having said that, your junior program is pretty solid. We are getting ready to cover the Carifta Games, SportsMax, next few weeks of the Easter weekend. You had a pretty solid junior program running for the Bahamas as well. And I know the Bahamas have been trying to put things in place to sort of close the gap on the dominance that the Jamaicans have enforced on the meet for decades now. Based on the quality of athletes that you see as teenagers in the Bahamas, how satisfied are you that the Bahamian factory of producing outstanding talent is working well under Jamaica Archer, who is your B3A's president?
Yeah, I think we continue to produce some of the best athletes in the region. It's really something that I really enjoy seeing people take to the same things that helped develop me, like the Carifta Games. I think there's always room for improvement. There's always room to get more people involved and discover more talent, which is something that, I've kind of invested in over the years. But from what I hear, we have a pretty good under-20 boys 4x4. I think that's what's going to be the race of the championship. So I hear we have our Carifta trials coming up this weekend. So I'll have a little bit more to report back on after next weekend. So after I watch the trials and see what we got. But from what I hear, we got something for y'all.
Yeah, I hear you. And I heard Jamaica Archer on a news report in the past 48 hours saying that the Bahamas will win the boys 4x400 and defeat Jamaica. So I guess when the Jamaicans hear that, it will pump them up. But the Carifta Games will be hot, Daveen, and really a pleasure talking to you. And we wish you a successful 2025 or a continuation of your success, because it has been successful up to this point. But I know that you've got some plans for your outdoor campaign, and we hope that works well for you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Daveen Charlton, their world record holder in the women's 60-meter hurdles and a twice champion in the event World Indoors. Great talking to her, and great on the Bahamians for producing consistently so many outstanding track and field stars for the world to celebrate. We go to break. We'll be back with more on the SportsMax Zone after this.